Hello, I'm Cam from Royale with Cheese, and today I'm going to show you how to build your own battle deck in Clash Royale. Now there are lots of places online that you can go to find good battle decks, but this video is intended to show you my philosophies for building a battle deck and how to build the best one with the cards already in your collection. Let's get started. Clash Royale is a card-based PvP strategy game where you use cards to attack and defend against an opponent. Each card costs a certain amount of elixir to play, and available elixir slowly refills throughout the match. You can take 8 cards with you into a match, and these cards are called your battle deck. When you're in a match, you carry 4 cards in your hand at any given time, and your next available card is visible for planning. In this video, I'm going to show you 6 different philosophies, we'll call them, to keep in mind when building your battle deck. First, offense and defense. This is a general rule you want to keep in the back of your mind when you're building your deck. Clash Royale is a game of waves. 1 second you're attacking, and the next you're on defense. You want to make sure that you have cards in your battle deck that will help you out in both those situations. Now there's an old saying, the best defense is a great offense. Well, not in Clash Royale. Make sure that you have some defensive cards in your deck. Plus, the matchmaking is set up so you're only going to be playing opponents about the same skill level as you, so you're not going to have cards overwhelmingly better than your opponent. Alright, number 2 is ground and air. There's nothing worse in this game than seeing your opponent play some air cards when all you have in your hand is a bunch of ground units. Make sure that you have at least a couple cards in your deck that can attack air. Next is tanks. Tanks are high hit point cards that you want to send first into battle. You want them to absorb your enemy's attack while your weaker cards follow up behind and go in for the kill untouched. Tanks can also be used on defense. Remember, always be thinking about offense and defense. You can play a high hit point tank card to distract your opponent's troops. This might give you more time to play a follow-up defensive card, or to just give your towers a little bit more time to pick off those enemy troops. Next, buildings. Buildings are a great way to improve your defense, but they can also help your offense. An expo, right up on the edge of the river, has the range to attack your enemy's crown towers. Some buildings will spawn units, like a barbarian hut, a goblin hut, or tombstone. Other buildings stay back and do serious amount of damage to troops that come within their range. Buildings can also be used as a distraction. Placing a building in the path of a giant or hog rider can give you just the time you may need to transition into a counterattack. Next up is anti-crowd cards. Some cards spawn multiple units, or your enemy might have played lots of cards back to back, so there's a whole group of cards coming your way. I always like to have an anti-crowd card in my battle deck just in case this happens. An arrows, fireball, or rocket card can help you out in these situations with their large damage areas. They also come in handy if one of your attacks comes just shy of taking out a tower. Lastly, spells. I left spells to the end because they're kind of optional. Some people use them, some people don't. It's up to you and your strategies to decide if you want to use them. These are optional, and I'll leave it up to you when picking your cards to decide if a spell is worth taking up a slot in your battle deck. If you want to get some ideas on how you might use a spell in action, head on over to TV Royale and watch some replays. Alright, those are our 6 philosophies. Let's take a look at some examples of battle decks, starting with one that I'm using right now. This is the battle deck that I'm currently using. My tank is my giant card, and 4 of my cards can attack air. I have a free spell because that's what I like using in my attacking strategy, and arrows is my anti-crowd card. Now, for defense, it may seem like I just have an Inferno Tower, but as I mentioned before, the Tombstone and the Freeze spell are great for slowing down enemy troops too. I sometimes have needed to use my Giant as a defensive distraction too. Here's one little tip. When you build your battle deck, it'll show you what your average elixir cost is. I like to keep mine around 4.0. Some people like going under 4, some people like going over, but you definitely don't want to have your hand filled with cards that cost 5, 6, and even 7 elixir only. You won't be able to play enough cards fast enough to keep up with your opponents. Alright, let's review another deck. We're going to review the Tempo Skeleton deck. This is from the Clash Royale subreddit from user DJTeebS. I've always wanted to do that. Alright, let's take a look at this deck. Giant Skeleton is their tank, and 5 of their 8 cards attack air. That's great. Now, Skeleton Army is a good swarm card to try to overload their opponents, and Goblin Hut is a good building that can either get in the way of an oncoming attack, or just keep spitting out spear goblins for their own attack. This leads me to my last tip. Take a look online at the decks that other people are using. A lot of people are posting decks to the Supercell forums, to the Clash Royale subreddit. You can go online, take a look at these decks to get some ideas. You can even post your own if you're having trouble with it or have any questions. Also, you can post your battle deck in the comments of this video, and we can talk about it there too. Okay, so those are the things that I keep in mind when I'm building a battle deck for Clash Royale. If I missed something, let me know in the comments. And like I said before, you can also post your battle decks in the comments as well. If you made it this far and you like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. See you next time, guys. Today I'm going to show you how to build a battle deck for the game Clash Royale.